Well, all right. What's up, guys? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And today we have a little bit of Black Ops 6, aka Call of Duty 2024 news that we're going to talk about. But before we get into that, I just wanted to take a couple of seconds and say thank you so very much to everybody for the tremendous support over the last video. The comments, the likes, the views, the subscriptions, you name it. I couldn't be more humbled and I couldn't be more grateful. Thank you all very much for the tremendous support. And with that being said, I also hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. And since you guys are here for Black Ops 6, that's what we're going to get into. I could easily go off on a tangent. So let's get into Black Ops 6 because that's what you guys are here for. So we got a little bit of information from Chess Gordon, who does like editing or whatnot, or stories for Microsoft or whatnot, and this comes from Windows Central, and there's 3 bits and pieces of information that we got. One of them kind of pertains to the leaks, I guess, that happened a little while ago, or whenever it was, I don't remember, about the game, but the next few bits and pieces of information is about pretty much the setting, and then the other one that's pretty much something that even a blind man could have seen coming. So the first is, as expected, the next Call of Duty is indeed another entry in the long-running Black Ops series. So in other words, it's going to be called Black Ops something, right? So as long as the game is, made by Treyarch, it's always going to be called Black Ops because it's too familiar. It's a brand. It's recognizable to both casuals and hardcore players alike. So there's really no need to change that. They become kind of shooting themselves in the foot to a certain degree if they did that, especially with Treyarch. So at this point, the Black Ops tradition continues, and we could sure use it because we had Modern Warfare 2, and then we had Modern Warfare 3, and then before that we had Vanguard, and at the same time, they all kind of followed the original Modern Warfare 2019 formula, but, with little iterations here and there. So one of the first things that I'm expecting is this game to be significantly different in terms of design, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. But the second piece of information that we're getting is that it's focused on the CIA, and the next Black Ops set in the Gulf War, and will examine the United States' role in that conflict. And then the last bit of piece of information about the leaks is that they point to a return in round-based zombie modes and remastered maps from previous Call of Duty Black Ops entries. Now, I paid attention to that last word, entries. It's not just entry, but it's entries. So, which means that if those leaks are true, and if those maps are going to be coming back from multiple Black Ops games, it's not just going to be, one Black Ops game. We're talking about at least 2 or more. So that remains to be seen in terms of the amount of maps, as well as the amount of games that those maps are going to be brought back from. And if they do bring back maps from the old games, number one, we know that Nuketown is inevitable. We know that Nuketown is going to come back, so there's no going away from that. However, with that being said, they need to bring back maps that we haven't seen before from the old titles, if they are going to do that, right? Bring back Grid, bring back Combine, and bring back Fringe. And yes, I know I'm talking about Black Ops 3 maps right now as well, but why not? How about Meltdown from Black Ops 2? How about what's that other one called? Plaza. I love Plaza. What about Hanoi? What about, I did say Grid. Again, all these games from the Black Ops series that haven't had certain maps brought back, I think is a shame. So if you're going to bring back old maps, bring the ones that we haven't seen since their original iteration, that some fans have even been calling for, right? And at the same time, it's really bad to bring back the same old maps. You know why? Because in Modern Warfare 3, the community got all Modern Warfare 2 maps remastered, brought back, and with a few additions and iterations to them. So it's something that we've experienced already before, and we can't have too much of that because the entirety of Modern Warfare 3 is centered around that. So if Black Ops does too much of that, it's going to shoot itself in the foot, in my opinion. We need new maps. A lot of players have been saying we need new maps, and I know they're going to do DLC for Modern Warfare 3, and there's going to be new maps that are going to be added into the mix. I know that, I understand that, and that's a good thing. However, with that being said, they got to minimize bringing back the old maps for the Black Ops series. Because the entire game itself, since it's a 4-year life cycle under Treyarch, which is actually an exciting thought to think of, it's an exciting fact. The thing is this, like, they have a chance to not only make sure that the game is polished and with everything working just right and all that kind of stuff, but like I mentioned, we've been getting the Modern Warfare 2019 formula in every single Call of Duty game since then. Since 2019, we've been getting a very similar formula. It almost feels like you're playing the same game, and it's like, oh, this is, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, blah, blah, blah. it feels too similar. Back in the day, every single Call of Duty used to look different from the main menu and everything else. Right now, it just feels like too much of the same. And with Treyarch having that extra year, I think is very important. And on top of that, we could use that. You know, I think it's time for another change. It's been 5 years now from Modern Warfare 2019 to, you know, let's just say 4 years, right? Or no, it'll be 5 years by the time this new game releases. So I think the formula is, you know, give it a rest. Let's do something new. And with Treyarch being Treyarch, granted the developers that have been known to make those legendary games are still there, or at least the majority of them still there, I think we're in for a treat as far as that aspect is concerned, right? There's a lot of potential there. And of course, it'll make the game truly worth its $70 purchase because you're going to get a full-on campaign that hopefully is not 70% cutscenes and 30% gameplay with only a 3-hour, you know, runtime or whatever. Hopefully it'll run, you know, about the same time as an average Call of Duty campaign, which is about 6 hours, give or take a little bit of change here and there, with tons of gameplay. And of course, you're going to have your round-based zombies, so I think you can't go wrong with that. You're going to have your battle royale in the form of Warzone. However, there might be a chance that they might bring back the Blackout map, and if they do, they can either bring back the old one, because Fortnite kind of did that with their OG map, and people seem to love it. However, you can't just rely on nostalgia to carry you from point A to point B, because if that was true, then this game would be able to carry a lot better than it already is carrying as far as Modern Warfare 3 is concerned, right? So that's not the way. The way is to do both, right? And you got to do them both carefully, and you have to plan things out. So, and at the end of the day, new content, as in the form of brand new maps and all that kind of other stuff, is what's needed to carry the game from point A to point B. And you can use the old content that you're going to bring back to kind of help push it along, so to speak. But it should not be your foundation. And I think that's one of the main problems of Modern Warfare 3. But Modern Warfare 3's got a much bigger problem than that. Okay, because I mentioned in previous games, if Modern Warfare 3 itself were to actually take skill-based matchmaking out of the equation, right? Despite its problems and despite the maps being familiar and feeling the same and blah, 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 or, you know, I mean, despite the fact that they've changed them up a little bit, all that, despite all those problems, despite everything else, it would be a much more playable game, right? It would be a lot more fun to play, much more playable. Worth the $70? No, because it still would be a DLC. But without that damn skill-based matchmaking algorithm in there, the game would be a lot more playable, and a lot more people would be playing it, a lot more people would have bought it, and a lot more people would have been saying really good things about it, right? And it would therefore making its longevity more impactful. Now, in terms of my expectations, again, like I said, I'm expecting good streaks. Like, for instance, if you're going to bring back anything, bring back the dogs. People have been wanting dogs as streaks come back. So, bring back the dogs. Maybe one or two other streaks from the past, because they've been known to do that as well. And a few weapons here and there. They've been known to do that as well. 3-lane maps. I'm all for it. Make sure they're new. The colors and the visibility being vibrant. That's really good. Treyarch usually does a really good job with that, so we need that. If we need to put Christmas tree lights all around the players, so be it. What else? Let's see, the maps. Launching with league play, probably, even though the majority of your players are not competitive players, but it is something that competitive community wants, so it's like whatever. I think it's a safe bet that theater mode is going to make a return. I don't see why they can't do that. And again, I'm expecting something innovative. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I'm not sure. And the thing is, I don't know where they're going to make it innovative, because they could easily spend all their innovation power on Warzone. Like, for instance, as I mentioned before, we need to bring back maps into the multiplayer. If they're going to bring back old maps, they need to bring back ones that we haven't had since the original iteration, right? Well, they could always bring back a Blackout 2 map that has the maps from Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 in there, right? Because the original Blackout map had maps from Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2. So therefore, for Blackout 2 or 2.0, they can put in that maps from Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. It just makes all the sense in the world. Black Ops 4 maps weren't bad. Black Ops 3 maps weren't bad. A lot of Black Ops 4 maps were average, but an average Treyarch map is, in my humble opinion, better than an average Infinity Ward or Sledgehammer Games map, with all due respect. In my humble opinion. I know there's some people that are going to disagree, but in my opinion, That's just what I think. So, however, superior Infinity Ward maps and superior Treyarch maps are right up there with some of the best maps ever made in Call of Duty. I'll give you a few examples. One that comes up to the top of my head is like for Sledgehammer Games in COD World War II. London Docks was a great map. London Docks was a great map. For Infinity Ward, I mean, I'm trying to think. I've got this map specifically pictured in my head right now. Is it Scrapyard? I'm not sure if it's Scrapyard. I don't know. It could be. I don't know. I can't think of it. I can't think of it at the moment. See, I'm not as. See, that just goes to show you. Like, if I don't like something, I'm not going to remember the name. And I didn't play COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2. I barely played, so I'm more familiar with other maps. But when you look at Modern Warfare 3 maps, I think some of those maps were really solid. So the original Modern Warfare 3 that got released in 2011, by the way, just so there's no confusion. For instance, in Call of Duty Ghosts, they had Strike Zone, or Call of Duty Ghosts, they had Warhawk. Great maps. So those could fit in very well as well. So just to name a few. But with that being said, though, I am a fan of the Treyarch multiplayer, and I'm really curious as to what they're going to do to innovate, if at all, this time. Worst case scenario, we get a Treyarch classic Call of Duty Black Ops game that's, just classic and not really anything innovating, and they can just kind of just do what they do to the best of their ability and try to make it better than we've seen before, probably, and just give us the best of what Black Ops has to offer. I think that would be fine. But at the same time, no matter how good you make a game, as I mentioned before, you get that algorithm in there, you got some problems, and even though the game would be justified a little bit more in terms of its $70 value because of all the content that would be in it and new content, assuming that ends up being the case, it's still going to have that problem that's going to ruin the experience, and it's going to be something that aggravates you. So in these last 2 minutes here before I close, some people, especially that have been with me for a while, especially that are curious about me, covering Call of Duty on a regular basis again, they're probably asking in the top of their heads, it's like, hey, Jack, would you buy? Because they know how much I love Treyarch games for the most part, right? Would you buy Black Ops 6? And my answer is, as of right now, the answer is no. Like, if I had to make that decision right now, that decision would be no. Because as long as that algorithm remains in there, the answer is no. Now, if that algorithm were to get removed, and if that ended up being the case, then yeah, I would love to have more than one arcade shooter to play. And you guys know how I rave about X Defiant, but the more arcade shooters that we have without this type of algorithm in there, the better. You kidding me? There's more than enough space in gaming for these types of games to coexist. It would be nice to kind of go back and forth and rotate from gameplay and play those different kinds of games however and whenever you want, and do content on those games in rotation form. That'd be great. Are you kidding me? But that's not the world we live in. So until there's some sort of change, my answer remains no, and it will remain no. Some people even thought I was going to get the current Modern Warfare 3, and I had stated well ahead of time that I was not going to get it. And I even regretted getting Vanguard. I should have played the beta so that way I could experience it firsthand for myself, even though just watching the game just gave me a bunch of red flags. But I ignored myself, and I got it because, for said reason, and I can't say that I was happy with it. So, and ever since then, I haven't bought a new Call of Duty, and nor do I plan to until there's change within the algorithm. And then if the algorithm were to get removed, then we can talk about what those changes need to be. Because a video like that would be a discussion like, okay, we've gotten rid of skill-based matchmaking, and it's like, okay, this is what you guys need to do now. So, but again, that's a fantasy world, and so far, all evidence points that skill-based matchmaking is not going anywhere. However, one thing that is happening on the positive note is that the player count for Modern Warfare 3 seems to be down. So that is a good sign, because if you want change, you got to affect their pockets, and that's the best way to affect their pockets. But anyway, that concludes this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. Once again, thank you for the tremendous support, and I will catch you guys on the next one. See ya.